No, I don't think they'll look back at it as a big mistake at all. Because he's a talent that the Texans will benefit from. Okay? The Buffalo Bills didn't benefit from his talent.
Okay, that's one way to look at it.
Okay?
Yeah.
They only went so far.
So you think he'll be a better fit in Houston than he was
Way
in Buffalo?
better fit in Houston. He's happy in Houston. He was not happy in Buffalo.
And why do you think that was?
Well, because when you are in a situation and everything is built around your quarterback that isn't getting the same criticism and the same vitriol as you may as a player, you look at that and you say, man, this is ridiculous. You know, they're making it seem as though everything that's gone on wrong in Buffalo is Stefon Diggs' problem. Okay. Not Josh Allen's problem. They boost Josh Allen up to a whole nother level.
Who's they? Fans and media?
Fans and media. Yeah. That's what they do.
Not executives, not front office, not coaches.
Not necessarily coaches in front office, but when you are in a situation like Stefon Diggs, where you out there trying to do your best, trying to do everything, and all of a sudden things aren't going the way it's supposed to, the first thing the camera points to is you, because you may have an outburst, and now you become a problem, okay? Teams don't trade for you with high draft compensation if they deem you a problem. Yeah, his welcome was worn out in Buffalo because he and the quarterback didn't see eye to eye.
They did not.
Because he could see what the quarterback was doing wrong. The fans and the media can't see what the quarterback is doing wrong. They don't know. They just think he's pouting because he wants the football put in his hands. Clearly, when you look at his numbers over the time, the 4 years that he's been there, Josh Allen has been an exceptional quarterback since having Stefon Diggs in the lineup. And prior to that, it was a question mark on whether or not they should have drafted Josh Allen. So it goes hand in hand. Okay, when I say they're not going to miss him, you can get production out of guys. You can get the production out of a bunch of guys. You just throw the ball to one or two or three guys. They're not going to be able to do the things that Stefon Diggs does, though, out on the football field. Yep. That's just not going to happen. I mean, certain guys are one-of-ones, and he's a one-of-one in terms of his ability to get up the field, his ability to catch the football, his ability to break tackles, score touchdowns. You go and you look at his numbers in the 4 years. In receptions, he was number one in the league over that 4-year span. In yards, he was 4, over 5,000 yards, and he was 4th tied in touchdowns with 37. That's a lot of production in those 4 years. Every single year they would go to the playoffs, and for whatever reason, he didn't get the opportunities, whether he was getting open, the quarterback was looking for him, or they were calling the right plays to get him the football. I don't know. I'm not in that room, but from the outside looking at this situation, it was going to blow up eventually. It just was. Yep. And then yesterday, prior to them trading him, he responded to or 2 days ago, he responds to a fan that says that Josh Allen, you know, basically Josh Allen's career is not hinged on Stefon Diggs. It's basically Stefon Diggs, I'm paraphrasing, said, okay, are you sure?
Are you sure about that?
Are you sure? Yeah. Are you sure about that? Yeah. And in the end, he was shipped off to a better place.
Maybe that was the final nail.
Better place, better roster, better, in my opinion, better coach, you know, all of those things. Could be better quarterback, could be. C.J. Stroud, I mean, C.J. Stroud right there, even though he's a rookie, he's got to do it over a longer period of time. But his rookie year was something to be remembered.
I cannot disagree with that conclusion. But I am not going to condemn the Buffalo Bills for trading Stefon because I do believe they finally hit the point of no return. And when that happens within an organization, and I do think they have a strong organization there. I think Brandon Beane is very good at what he does because he built a very good football team. It hinges on how far can the quarterback take them ultimately, and it hinges on a Josh Allen who I've never been the biggest believer in Josh. I did like the way he played down the stretch last year, and ironically, Stefon was not that involved in the offense over the last, what did they go? They came out of their bye, and they won 5 straight, 6 straight with the wild card, and they played Kansas City tough. They played them fairly close in the playoff game at home. It was at home, and they lost at home to the eventual Super Bowl champion. But the point is, if I look at Stefon's numbers down the stretch, that they wiped out my Dallas Cowboys, obviously 31-10. He had 48 yards in that game, but he had 24 yards against Kansas City, Chargers 24, New England 26 yards. So he was falling out of the offense at that point, in part because he and the quarterback were just not on the same page anymore. And that's Josh Allen's decision not to throw him the football as much.
Remember also, they switched coordinators.
They did.
And they switched styles
in midstream.
Midstream.
Yep.
All of a sudden, when they switched the coordinators,
yep.
his production completely
and they
went
went back to running the ball quite a bit more. Okay, I give you all that. All right. We did this on the fly yesterday, and then I looked harder at Stefon's career. All right. He is very good. And I'm buying this point that you made. This may be that seminal move, that flashpoint moment for the Houston Texans where they look back at it and say, well, the Stefon trade was the catalyst for us winning a Super Bowl. They could. If they win a Super Bowl in the next, I don't know, couple, 3 years, you'd look back at this as the turning point moment in their history, right? Even though,
the crazy thing about it is they could have got out of the AFC last year.
Well, they could have.
They could have gotten out of there.
All right. Well, you like them.
They had a young quarterback.
You already said that you like them now going into next year even more than you like Baltimore.
Yeah.
Which I can't. I just can't take CJ
the odds
over
maker. You do understand
Lamar.
the odds maker have them flipped. Kansas City, Baltimore, Texans.
Mm-hmm.
I flipped it to Kansas City, Houston, Baltimore.
I mean, you got Houston one notch below the
Kansas City.
defending champs.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the odds makers, the betting people say they're third in the conference.
Yeah.
I say second.
Okay.
Same to me.
All right, but my point about Baltimore is when you add Derrick Henry, that was a huge move for him, but they lost a lot. They lost a lot. They lost 3 offensive linemen. They lost Patrick Queen. They lost, Jadeveon Clowney and Geno Stone and Gus Edwards. They lost a whole lot.
OBJ.
Yeah, and OBJ's not going back. That's right. Okay, all right, I got you. Now, back to how good is Stefon Diggs?
Really good.
Is he top of the top? Is he top echelon?
Oh, yeah. Top 5 receiver in the league.
Okay, I can't put him with Tyreek, and I can't put him with Devontae Adams. And look at what they brought trade-wise. When finally Kansas City said, we can't pay Tyreek what he wants, and they ship him to Miami, look what they got back. They got a first, a second, 2 fourths, and a 6th for Tyreek, and then Miami had to pay Tyreek.
But you can't make your assumption based on a trade that he's not at that level just because at that time a deal was struck with a team to get more compensation. You can't.
But I'm just showing you on the open market, Miami jumped with both feet into that deal.
Yeah, because Miami was looking for something. They was looking for electricity at a certain speed. They felt we want a track team. Okay. This is what we want.
Right. And they got one. Devontae to the Raiders. That was for a first and a second. Well, that's a lot, but he's worth every last penny of that. And whatever you had to pay him, he's worth every red cent of that. Both of those guys, Tyreek and Devontae. I think they're on a plateau slightly above Stefon. I'm not sure Stefon.
That may be the case. He's a top 5 receiver.
Okay. So Stefon, shockingly, gets only back for them a 2nd-round pick, not this draft, which I still can't believe. If it were in this draft, I'd say, well, okay, you got me. Because they need to get healthy again fast. They need to restock the cupboard fast. But it's next year. It's 25 draft.
But that, you got to remember Brandon Beam, who I know extremely well. He may package that pick up and go in the draft this year and do something. He may take that 25 2nd-round pick, put it with something, and because he's known to do that. Yeah. Now, when you talk about trading, you got to go back to looking at when they acquired him from Minnesota. They gave up a lot to get him from Minnesota. Yeah. Because they saw him as a certain player. And that's just what it is. But when you are a depreciating asset to a team that basically says, we want to get rid of him, what do you want to do? And somebody says, we'll give you a 2.
Because that's all that the market would bear. That was it.
With that conversation, when they know you don't want somebody, you're not going to get what you should get.
All right. So now let's look at Stefon in the postseason. Let's look at what's happened to him. He's played 14 postseason games, and his teams are 7-7. Well, obviously, it's a dependent position that you played at the highest level, so you can't put it all on him or even half of it on him, but he participated in 7 wins and 7 losses. He's averaged 65 yards a game in the postseason, which is not great. It's not bad, but it's not great. He has had 4 100-plus yard games in the postseason. 3 of those were in Minnesota and 1 in Buffalo. And his team won all 4 of those games. So when he goes over 100, good things are going to happen. All right, now let's look at Josh Allen with Stefon. And this is the ultimate argument here, and it's the classic chicken or egg argument. Again, if you look at Buffalo's history, in the previous 19 seasons to Stefon coming from Minnesota to Buffalo, the previous 19 Buffalo seasons, they never had a double-digit win season. Stefon walks in the door, and you know what started happening, 13-3, and that was in 2020, and then 11-6, then 13-3, and last year 11-6 again. That's pretty great. So you had 4 straight double-digit win seasons. Now look at your quarterback. Again, I haven't been the biggest fan, but I did think he played well down the stretch last year, and he won some of me back over. So what has he done in the 4 Stefon years? Chicken or egg? Help me out here. He's ranked 3rd in QBR in 2020, then 6th the next year, then 2nd 2 years ago, and then last year he was 3rd in QBR. If I average out his QBR over the 4 years with Stefon, he's averaged the 3rd highest QBR in football. That is sensational, and that's the best of any quarterback over a 4-year span. So you gave me Stefon's side of the story, and I'm giving you Josh's side of the story back because, boy, he was really good. Highest level. He obviously, those numbers suggest that he's a top 5 quarterback. Well, he doesn't have much to show for it in the postseason, but
what I would say is I've seen Josh Allen without Stefon Diggs, and I've seen him with Stefon Diggs. I've seen him without him, and I've seen him with him.
Okay, here's what they're saying.
And I've seen Stefon Diggs without Josh Allen in Minnesota. Yeah. Okay? So I'm not worried about Stefon Diggs as much as I'm worried about Josh Allen.
Okay, are you saying
without Stefon Diggs?
Is Stefon more valuable than Josh Allen to you?
No, he's not more. He's a quarterback. No, he's not more valuable. No, not at all. But I've also seen him without Stefon Diggs, and he didn't look the same.
But when you saw him without Stefon Diggs, he was still a very young quarterback.
That's fair. Yeah. That's fair, but that's no excuse to look a certain way, you know, because you're young. C.J. Stroud was young.
Yep. No, I understand.
I mean, we can point to a lot of young quarterbacks.
Here's my gut feeling about this, and it's a close call, but I think Josh is a little better at his position than Stefon is at his position. Just a little better overall, the whole package of Josh with the arm and the legs, because, as you know, he will take off and he will run through people and over people.
Yeah, he's probably – they're both in the top 5. However you want to slice the bread. They both are top 5 at their position.
All right. So if you were Brandon Beane, if you were the owner of the Buffalo Bills, would you have tried to somehow –
I've already tried that. I tried it for 2 years, 3 years.
But would you try to figure it out with the two?
We've already tried that.
Would you lock them in a room?
We already tried that. We did that already.
Yeah. So you're done.
We came to the conclusion that we paid a quarterback $200 million that is going to be here for the next 10 years.
He is.
And we could get a receiver to do similar things, not same things, but it could be running catch by committee.
Yeah, and by the way, they did sign Curtis Samuel, and he is not Stefon Diggs, but he's not bad. He's not bad. That's the best thing.
He can do certain things.
He can do certain things.
He can do certain things.
And I told you, I have loved Dalton Kincaid, and he was pretty good as a rookie, and I think he'll be very good next year.
It's easier to replace the body of Stefon Diggs, but it's not easy to replace the production and what he means to a quarterback. Having played the position, having played that position and been traded myself before, okay, for 2 number 1s to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the New York Jets are still trying to replace me, and I left there in 2000. They still trying to figure out, because it ain't all about the statistics.
That kid they got from Ohio State's pretty good.
Again, it ain't all about the statistics. It's about the whole entire package. You know what I'm saying, Skip? It's about the intensity. It's about the passion that you bring to the game.
I agree.
It's about all of those sort of things.
Yep.
And at some point, sometimes your quarterback can't handle those things in that confrontation. So what you got to do is you got to remove the player away from the quarterback because you don't want the quarterback being mentally hurt because he's mentally fragile because the receiver is getting in his rear end all the time.
Yep. No, I agree.
You know,
and I completely...
Because it's called protecting the quarterback.
It is, and I completely agree with your premise that we started off with, that the media, the fans, they're going to side with the quarterback, and it's always going to be the receiver's fault. You know,
and they should.
Yeah.
He's a hell of a player.
He is
They
a hell of a
should.
player.
But this has now added more stress and heat on his ass now, though. Because if you don't take them and move them in the right direction where they're trying to get to, now people are going to start looking at him side-eye. Because as you mentioned, their Super Bowl odds just plummeted, right? It just went down.
They did. I wouldn't go plummet, but they dropped significantly.
Well, yeah, one guy leaves, they drop.
That is correct.
One guy goes to the Texans, it goes up. That same guy that everybody is saying is a problem. I don't know how that works out. How did that get to that?
I completely agree with you. The onus now, the spotlight, and it is a hot spotlight, falls upon the Buffalo quarterback.
Absolutely.
Going into next year, everybody's going to say, okay, show us.
Yeah.
Was it all you? So take some, I don't know who else they're going to acquire, but they better go get somebody. I look down who's still left on the
Davis
receiver.
is gone.
Yeah, I know. They lost Gabe Davis.
They lost Gabe Davis. They lost Stefon Diggs.
They lost their two best receivers. Shakir is still there.
Yeah, Shakir's there, but...
I mentioned Curtis Samuel. So who's left on the market? OBJ is still sitting out there. I don't know that he'd want to go to Buffalo.
Draft one of the guys.
That probably will. Our guy Michael Gallup's out there. Hunter Renfro's, Tyler Boyd's still out there. That's a possibility. I mean, a lot of these receivers would want to play with Josh Allen. I don't know if they'd love playing in Buffalo, but they'd want to play with Josh Allen.
Buffalo's a great city, man.
You like it? Did you enjoy playing there? Did you play in the snow?
I played in the snow. My first cold game was in Buffalo.
Was it?
Not good.
Of your life? Or
no, my first, of my, well, yeah, because Washington State, stuff like that wasn't as cold as that. That was something different.
And
it didn't work out so well.
You had a bad game?
Very bad game.
Not enjoyable?
The worst game. That might have been the worst game of my career.
You have to accept that. Okay, so to me, I look at Buffalo and I look at how solid management, ownership is, coaching staff is. It's a good organization.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a great one, but it's a good one. Their defense, if they can get healthy, especially with Matt Milano, if he can come back, they'll be a top, I'm going to go 10. They'll be a top 10 defense because he's a good defensive football coach.
Yeah, the problem that Buffalo has is they got a couple bad contracts that they still paying the price on.
Yep.
Tre'Davious White's contract.
They do.
Von Miller's not the same Von Miller.
No, but he's still there.
They can't, those are bad contracts. You can't get from underneath those deals. And that's the problem.
And speaking of contracts, they were so anxious to get out from under Stefon, they are going to eat an all-time record for a non-quarterback, $30 million in dead cap hit, because they said enough is enough. But $30 million, there's no non-quarterback has ever been dealt and had his team have to eat more dead cap money than that. That's a lot. So Keyshawn, they just said flat out, we can't do this anymore. Under no circumstance, we will eat whatever we have to eat to get out from under.
Yeah, it's a $31.1 million number for next season, which is a lot. But you could sense going back 2 years that the relationship had already soured. You asked me about what would I do. They already visited that, though, Skip. They've already sat in a room. They've already sat down with him, sat down with Josh Allen, tried to figure it out, tried to work it out. And in the end, I'm sure Stefon Diggs is just like Josh Allen probably said, you know what, man, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
This isn't for me.
Okay, so Stefon is 30. He'll be 31 in November. Is he on the backside of his career, or is he still at the backside of his prime? How would you sort of term where he is?
I would probably say that he's nice and ripe.
Yeah.
He's right there.
Yeah.
Okay, you mentioned his numbers in the second half of the season. they changed the system in the offense.
They did.
Okay?
Plus he and Josh just fell completely apart.
They fell completely apart. But a lot of it had to do with them moving on from Ken Dorsey as the coordinator because they were pass heavy.
They were.
And so they decided, okay, that's not the way we win here anymore. We're going to win this type of way because we have a running quarterback and we don't want him throwing the football 50 times a game because he'll give it to the other team multiple times. So
he does.
That hurts your production. So I don't think all of a sudden, the player in Stefon Diggs is less than he was at the start of the season. It just doesn't work that way. You can't look at 6 games at the back end of the season. You got to look at the entire season. You got to look at everything that they're doing. This is why the Texans traded for him. They studied him. They watched him. They said, we can use that.
Definitely.
And it can help our young quarterback. Because what you won't do and what you should ever do is take a problem and give it to a young quarterback. He's not a problem. That's why the Texans acquired him, because whatever he was in Buffalo, DeMeco Ryans and company think they can handle it and it'll be fine.
Okay, although he did have some issues in Minnesota, and he obviously had more issues in Buffalo.
His issues in Minnesota was they was paying Thielen all that money.
That is correct.
And wasn't paying him, and he was producing at a high clip.
Okay.
That was the issue.
Okay, so there's some spotlight now on Stefon going to the young Texans where you need to be on your best behavior. You need to become a leader of the team because people are going to be watching. Are you going to become an issue for them somehow?
No, I don't think he. I don't think he will. I don't think he will. In Minnesota, they gave Thielen. I don't know what it was, but they gave Thielen a bag.
Yeah.
And if I'm sitting there and I'm looking at you give him a bag and I ask for my bag and you frown upon me, then I got to get out of here.
And Thielen winds up in Carolina as a cast-off.
God bless Thielen. No. He's a good player. But he wasn't Stefon Diggs.
No, he was not.
You know.
Okay, so my bottom line here is, while it was a great pickup for the Texans, for the Texans, I can't condemn the move for Buffalo. I don't think it's a bad idea to get rid of and start fresh.
No, it's not.
Now it's up to your man, Brandon Beane, to go find somebody plausible, somebody credible.
Well, that's why I said to you, Skip, you asked me if it was a mistake. No, I don't think it's a mistake. No, not at all. Yeah. It's a gain for the Texans.
That's what it is.
It's a gain for the Texans. It's not a mistake. It's not a mistake for Buffalo. It's just a gain for the Texans.
With you. Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.